So murders at not Markov at
No,
Karlov
Manor
is out. We
Yes.
played our pre-release.
We sure did.
And this is actually the approaching the weekend after release weekend. But I figured the why not start with the basics, the basic lands, as the first thing we discuss about these, because they're kind of interesting.
They are.
You want to start with the full art basics?
Yeah, let's get started there.
All right. What do you think of these?
I really like them.
Yeah?
I actually love these.
So a big step up.
Yeah,
from,
big step up for me, at least. I initially saw them, was like, wow, those are so busy. Like, what's even going on there?
Yeah.
But the more that I looked at them, the more interesting I found them to be. And there's some little hidden things I've noticed in a few of them that were not apparent to me at first glance.
I haven't taken a really close look at them. They're called the Impossible Lands, which I discovered.
I just discovered that recently myself because I'm building a budget deck for an event that's coming up. And despite it being on a budget, I decided to buy the basic or the full art basic mountains from this lineup because I like them so much.
How much are they?
I got them for like 30 cents a piece, so it's not horrible.
Yeah, that's really good.
And it's a monocolor deck, so I only needed like 35. But you know,
it seems like a monocolor commander deck.
Yes, it is. It is a commander deck.
When they started doing the full arts for everything, which was like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
I feel like at first they were like $1 a piece at least, and like what is it? The red of the two swamps in Kamigawa is probably still worth a few bucks.
That one was like $5 for a while.
Yeah.
It's probably still up there.
Yeah.
Well, I could go on about the Kamigawa lands, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. But yeah, these are really interesting. So one of the things that I noticed is the longer I stared at them, at least, so specifically in the mountain, there's kind of a silhouette of a skull almost. Like we have these two, it's not immediately apparent upon first viewing. Like I didn't see it until I had been staring at these for a while.
Yeah.
And it could be, it's very subtle, but there's these two globes that are symmetrically placed over top of these towers. And it's kind of just like at a glance, it sort of looks like a skull with a crown.
Red trending Rakdos.
Yeah, very, very Rakdos, very on theme. And then, let's see, we've also got... I'm trying to think, there was something very interesting I noticed.
You spotted another one?
In one of the other ones.
Do you think the impossible term is referencing like Escher?
Possibly, because like when you stare at these, the longer you look at them, you do see some like impossible architecture. There's a lot of stuff going on here that doesn't make sense if this was an actual spatial location.
That's what impossible implies, but I'm not seeing that.
I mean, they're not like
casually.
MC Escher level, but there are some there's some walkways that go off to the side.
Yeah. Okay, but like at the top of the forest, there's some
there's like
pointing
an
down
upside.
instead of up.
Yeah, there's some upside down spires. There's some kind of weird stuff happening and I like how they did that. Where like at a glance, it just looks really busy.
Which it feels very Ravnica.
And it feels very Ravnica. Like there's like it does kind of convey like bustling cityscape.
Yeah.
But we also, it's not something that's extremely MC Escher where you have like the very obvious like, oh, this is almost some kind of dreamscape architecture. There's no way this could physically exist. It's kind of like you have to stare at them for a little while before you see like, oh, the spires are, because the spires pointing down are also visible in the plains.
Oh yeah, so they are.
So if you kind of invert it, you get sort of a different look, but it's still that, like it's clearly meant to be viewed one way. It's not strictly speaking a mirror image or something that you can just flip.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it's a very interesting choice.
From flipped up, it's sort of like looking up at the nearby spires rather than looking down on the city.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool.
But I really like these. This is one of the sets where I feel like this does feel like a Ravnica flavored full art land. I'm not actually playing the mountains in a Ravnica flavored deck, but that's not the point. But I could. Like, these are lands that I'm like, I could find a home for that. I could see this going somewhere.
Because we have lots of friends who keep hassling us about our opinion on the Lost Caverns of Ixalan lands.
We do have lots of friends.
Like, I do kind of... I don't want to have overstated my case before. I kind of like them, but I just don't think they fit in that set at all.
Yeah, like there's things about them I like. Like I do like the glyph mana symbols. I love that, and I kind of wish they had leaned into that aesthetic a lot harder.
But the difference here is that these really reinforce the visual flavor,
I feel
or at
like
least
this,
don't contrast with the visual flavor.
This feels more tied into the visual flavor of Ravnica, and 2 thumbs up for me. I think that they are great. I love them.
I like them too. They're definitely not in my top tier, but like, what goes above them? Kamigawa lands go above them?
For me, the Kamigawa lands, for sure.
I think so, too. And I also put the Dominaria Reunited Stained Glass lands.
Those are really nice. Another thing I like about these is that they are very, like, these are all clearly part of the same set.
Yeah.
That is one thing I will say about the Kamigawa lands is that they're tied together by the overall aesthetic of that set, being very Japanese inspired. But there were some huge differences between like individual, the lantern land for the swamp.
Yeah.
Super different from the way the plains looked.
Yeah.
And I like how these do kind of all have a common thread between this impossible architecture just in different colors of the color pie.
Yeah. All right. Next time, the non-full art?
Yes, we'll talk about the basics.
Okay, basics coming up soon.